On my original iPod Touch, I can only vividly remember downloading 2 apps for the high price of 99 cents. These were Plants vs. Zombies and Plague Inc. I feel like everybody knows about Plants vs. Zombies, but Plague Inc. is a much more niche game, so I'm sure that a lot less people know about it. That's why I was so surprised when I saw it available on the PlayStation Store. When I did though, I knew I had to download it and get the platinum, even if the price had gone up. The main idea of the game is that you start as a type of disease, whether it be bacteria, virus, or even the chemical from Planet of the Apes. You then gather DNA points and use them to evolve while balancing infectivity and lethality to make sure you infect everyone on the planet before wiping them out. You can lose in one of 2 ways. The first of which is by having humanity develop a cure, which is sped up by having a more severe and lethal disease. The other is by wiping out all of the infected people while healthy people remain. Usually, this would happen on an island like Greenland, which caused me a lot of problems throughout my journey. After naming my disease Platinamonia, get it? We were ready to go. I started off with bacteria on Mega Brutal, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. This turned out to be a mistake though, as I quickly got eradicated, but at least I earned my first trophies. There are a whopping 61 trophies in this game when you include the 3 sets of DLC, and the first step was working on completing all of the difficulty specific ones. 22 of the trophies are for discovering different combos from the symptoms, and although I was able to get many of them while playing normally, I would need to specifically go for most of them, but we'll come back to these later. There's also a handful of trophies for getting certain evolutions when specific news headlines would pop up. These are some of the most memorable parts that I remember from the app, so I would recommend keeping an eye on the newsfeed, as some of them are pretty funny. Yet again though, that's something that we'll come back to later. After getting crushed on Mega Brutal, I decided that the best plan was to play through the game on normal difficulty, not only to remember the best strategies for playing, but also to unlock genes, which are essentially power-ups that you can start every level with. There were also trophies for getting a win with every disease type on normal, so I went in and grabbed those trophies. Once I had all the genes done though, it was time for my favorite part of this journey, which was to play through all the disease types on Mega Brutal. This was by far the most fun part of getting the platinum for me, as Mega Brutal is difficult, but allows you to problem solve, and there are multiple different strategies that you can use, which really helps prevent the game from feeling repetitive. For bacteria, I used the new genes that I had unlocked to help me gather more DNA for upgrades throughout the run. I also focused heavily on infecting everyone before evolving much lethality, as this would prevent either of the ways that you can lose. After completing bacteria, the virus was pretty similar, but then came my favorite disease type, which is fungus. Although it's one of the more difficult disease types in the base game, it's my favorite because of an ability called Spore Burst. Spore Burst allows the fungus to spread to a random country and is really helpful early in the game. Also, just listen to how satisfying the sound of collecting DNA bubbles is. After fungus, I completed Mega Brutal for the Parasite, Prion, Nanovirus, and Bioweapon before moving to the bonus diseases. I never got to play these diseases before, as they would have cost an extra 99 cents to unlock, and that would have doubled the cost of the app. The first one was the Neurax worm, which allows you to take control of people's minds once you infect them, and gives you 2 trophies for a win by wiping out humanity. There was also the simian flu, which was advertised as the disease from the Planet of the Apes movies. This allowed you to infect apes first, make them intelligent, and use them to infect humans as they fight. There was also a disease called the Necroa virus, which is really similar to the simian flu, but instead of having intelligent apes, you get zombies, which allow you to eat the rest of the humans. The final disease type is called the Shadow Plague and allows you to use a vampire to weaken humanity and then infect them. This is where I have to give a shout out to another YouTuber named Provis, who developed a foolproof strategy for this 8 years ago, which still works flawlessly to this day. Beating the Shadow Virus on Mega Brutal earned me my first 2 DLC trophies, as well as the trophies for completing every disease type in the game on both the normal and Mega Brutal difficulties. The next trophy was actually the one that took me the longest and is called Scenario Master, which is for scoring 3 biohazards in each of the 25 official scenarios. Some of these scenarios were really fun and interesting, like the Christmas virus and board game one, but others were incredibly difficult, like the smallpox and mad cow disease scenarios. Eventually though, I was able to get 3 biohazards on all of them and earn the trophy. I then decided to get all of the DLC trophies out of the way, starting with the fake news scenario, which you could get the 3 trophies from by winning on both normal and mega brutal, as well as getting fact checked, which just means that you failed the scenario. This then moved us into the final DLC, which is called Cure Mode and is for saving the world from disease rather than destroying it. After playing through against all of the different disease types, I was able to save the world with less than 5% of people remaining, without developing a vaccine, and locking down all countries from flying for the trophies. Now, remember earlier when I talked about the symptom combos? Well, it was now time to get them all. This was really fun, as a lot of the names for these combos are really interesting, which once again helps to keep the game from feeling repetitive. Once I had found all the different combos I needed, it was time to achieve wins in a few different ways. The first of which was by enslaving humanity with the Nurax worm instead of wiping them out. I then needed to recreate the ending of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and win the zombie virus without making a single zombie. Now, remember those pop-ups on the news board that I mentioned earlier? Well, it was now time to use them in order to get the last couple of trophies. I used them to help put Britain into madness, infect the Chernobyl research team, discover the knowledge of the pharaohs, and complete a few less interesting ones. Perhaps the most fun one though is making the US nuke Russia, which allows you to see the nuke go off and sets us up perfectly for the final trophy of the game. This was for infecting astronauts before they launch a mission into space, so that once they went up, the rocket came down, and we had earned ourselves the platinum. I felt like I flew through this trophy list, and it took me 1 day and 17 hours, which is the 3rd fastest time. I had a great time getting the platinum trophy for an app that I really enjoyed playing on my iPod, even if I'm not sure the controls fit as well with a PS5 controller as they did with a touchscreen. Either way though, I'm glad that I got my platinum, and let me know in the comments if there's any other games from apps, and whether or not I should go for their trophies. If you could give me a like and subscribe too, I would really appreciate it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.